I brought my stats sheet here, so I didn't lie to you. But when you look at the two teams, it's probably the most important game of the season for both teams. Both teams are 4-2. They're 1-0 in conference. We're 1-1 in conference. We can't afford to lose another one. I'm sure they'd like to keep their streak going so they have a chance to win the conference championship. And then so you start to look for where you might have some advantages or disadvantages. And so I don't usually go to the stat sheet, but I went to the stat sheet, and on scoring offense, they're 4th in the league. We're 5th in the league. On scoring defense, we're 3rd in the league, and they're 4th in the league. Those are the two most important stats. And then if you go to the next most important stat, that's turnover ratio. And we're 1st in the league, and they're 3rd in the league. And we're both in – I mean, ours is 1.5 a game, and they get a positive 1 a game. So to me, the two teams are as evenly matched as they can be. And the game's that important to both teams because it sets us on the road in the second half of the season to maybe good things.
So with two evenly matched teams like this, what edge do you have, do you think?
We play at home. Of course, that didn't help Air Force.
Coach, are you treating the second half like a brand new season because the bye weeks and all that?
No, we treated the bye week differently than if we were continuing to play. I mean, we went back to training camp for 3 days. But we're not treating the second half of the season or a game any different than we have all the rest of them.
Coach, when the schedule comes out and you see 2 bye weeks, do you sometimes think, who's making the schedule, and is there any common sense that it's involved with it?
Well, yeah. I mean, you always wonder who's making the schedule when you don't like the way it is set out and the way it ends up. You always question who makes up the schedule, and you wonder if someone's trying to help you or hurt you. I know who made the schedule that sent us back east 2 times in the same year. I know who made that schedule, and he's not here anymore. Now, hopefully he's going to do the same thing for Cal Poly, set them up like that. But no, conference schedule, I know we put in requests for certain things we want to happen, and they take those into account, I guess, and then they hit a button on a computer and the schedule comes out.
As evenly matched as you are, Rocky, what would you say is the thing you most have to watch out for with Wyoming in this game?
Well, we'd like to run the ball, and we've got a couple really good running backs, and last year they held Ronnie to 44 yards total in the running game. So I would guess I'd be concerned on offense that we're able to run the ball because we couldn't run it last year. And then on defense, they've got some really good skill guys at running back and wide receiver. And they're moving the ball well against everybody. They move the ball. I mean, the one game that everybody would consider a top-notch team they played was Nebraska. And they moved the ball. They didn't score a lot of points, but they moved the ball really, really well on Nebraska. And so you go watch that film, and you know you've got you have concerns.
You mentioned that this morning on the quarterback, Brett Smith, is as good a true freshman as you've seen in a while. What makes him so good? Why is he such a good young true freshman?
He's throwing the ball very accurately, and then athletically, he's got good speed. He gets out of trouble. He gets out of the away from the pass rush and makes positive plays out of negative plays. Quarterback is really important in this. It's important in every offense, but the quarterback's really important in the spread offense. The ability to continue a play when it should be over with makes him more dangerous. But I've noticed a huge improvement every week that he's in there. The biggest improvement is he's throwing the ball right on their hands now all the time, where he wasn't in the first couple games.
Looks like they're having some fun with him, too. They had the wide receiver throw him a pass. He looks like he's a pretty athletic kid.
Yeah, they do a great job up there as coaches. They put a lot of wrinkles in for you, and so you add up 6 games of different wrinkles, and it wastes a whole bunch or takes a whole bunch of your practice time. I mean, last year they blocked a punt on us. Last year they came out at halftime and successfully kicked an onside kick. I mean, they've thrown it back to the quarterback. They've given, if you look at the first 6 games, there's about 15 unusual formations that they've given people already where they hide a guy. It looks like he's playing tackle and he's got an eligible number on, and a guy steps off the line out wide, and all of a sudden that guy is eligible and they throw him a pass and nobody's covering him. They give you about 14 different formations when they line up for a field goal or an extra point. Now, if you line up correctly, they come back and get in a normal field goal position and kick the field goal or the extra point. If you don't line up right, they've got about 15 different trick plays they can run out of field goal and extra point. They do the same thing on punt. So I don't know how they teach them all that. They must practice longer than we do. But, I mean, it takes a lot of time in practice where you have to at least be able to line up correctly. I mean, against Air Force, we lined up correctly, and they still got a fake field goal on us, and we lined up right. We just didn't make the play.
Rocky, you talked at the beginning about the rust of having 2 weekends off. Is there any benefit besides resting players and getting them healed up from injuries? Is there any benefit to that or not?
I think for younger players, the guys that aren't going to play Saturday, there was a benefit because they go through the whole season running everybody else's offense and defense. And when you had the second bye week, we spent a lot of time with our guys that aren't playing now, that are scout team guys that we hope to develop to be good players later on. They spent a lot of time that week actually running our offense and running our defense and competing against each other. So there's some advantages that way. For the guys playing on Saturday, I don't think, other than being healthy and fresh, there's no advantage whatsoever for the guys that are playing.